Do you have your YouTube link or anything so I can pull that up just to see that it's going? I know it's going to be delayed. It looks like I'm actually maybe streaming already when I look at that link. I don't know if you shared that. You can hear me already.
Analyzing data through the night. The sunburned islands roam in sight. If you take notes, learning you might. Sounds, classes, traits, and what to equip. Strategy melds, combos a hit. Teaching rookies on the streets. Gillabot will give you a hint. KARMAKAST, the greatest show. Hero rising in the swarm. Pixel launch, alpha drops. Starting paths and breaking norms. New players got to learn. Tactics sharp at every turn. Knowledge they all yearn. In the pit, heroes they'll burn. Fights, analyzing data through the night. The sunburned islands rob in sight. If you take notes, learning you might. KARMAKAST, the greatest show. Hero rising in the swarm. Pixel art, alpha drops. Charting paths and breaking norms. Players gather to learn. Tactics sharp at every turn. Knowledge they all yearn. In the pit, heroes they'll burn. New players gather to learn. Tactics sharp at every turn. Knowledge they all yearn. In the pit, heroes they'll burn. Hosting fights, analyzing data through the night. The sunburned islands roam in sight. If you take notes, learning you might. KARMAKAST, the greatest show. Hero rising in the swarm. Pixel art, alpha drops. Charting paths and breaking norms.
Welcome us everybody to a new amazing episode of your favorite podcast. As always on Tuesday, KARMAKAST is here. Today with us, a great guest, the man, the legend, the game master himself, Hubert, who's not gonna be here with the camera, but is gonna be here anyway with us. Hubert,
Karmas, thanks for having us.
yeah, okay, I can hear you guys. I hope you can hear him. I believe you can. So, I wanna start immediately with the hot question, the hardest of them all. How are you doing today?
That's the most important one. I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Alive on holiday. I wanted to be at the Avalanche Summit, but by the time I found out that there were no tickets to join it, the price skyrocketed so much. I said, you know what? Fuck that.
That's too bad. Yeah, we have Pinecone and Sunbear are there right now.
I actually try to text somewhere if they want to hang out after or when they finish, but the privacy setting on Discord doesn't allow him to get my messages. So I'm gonna try to ping him in the chat or something like that. I mean, I'd love to meet them, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can maybe do some things in the background to see if I can push that away around for you, but I don't know. It will result in anything, but I can try.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they can, that would be great. Otherwise, I mean, I tried.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
that'd
Oh,
be cool
so
if they were able to see it. But
so we had this situation with the missing camera, so we tried to find this solution with the Hubert picture, which is anyway great. So I'm glad that at least he's here. We managed to pull this off. Last time with Workhorse, I don't know if you're aware of this, Hubert, but I had so many technical issues. I had to stream the video conversation, the video chat from Discord, and it resulted in me being frozen the whole time on camera. So there was this chat going on with me like this the whole time.
I did not see that, unfortunately. I was kind of busy, but yeah, I guess sorry for always. I think I know this issue is because of me not having a camera, so sorry about that. But hopefully this is working pretty well.
Well, yeah, in this moment I found quite of a fantasy solution to sort this out better than last time, and this is actually working much better. We are
Right.
here. That's the important thing. So, what I wanted to do with you today, I wanted to go through a couple of main points that I wanted to ask you about. And of course, feel
Okay.
free to tell me I can transfer this workhorse that did that a lot. He said at a certain point something, oh, Ninja, super cool, I can talk about it. Great.
Right.
We just clicked like that. So as you can imagine, everybody was like, "Oh, Ninja, Ninja! Ah, cool. We can talk about it. Okay, great." But I kind
Okay.
of pushed the idea of a skill for the ninja named Get Over Here, inspired by Scorpion on Mortal Kombat, which is one of those things that I really want to see happening in game.
I mean, we don't have a lot of pull, so I think that we could have something like that, perhaps.
Sooner or later, yeah, we're gonna get some. I believe the monk is gonna be there for that.
Right.
Yeah. So, first thing I wanted to ask you about is the new mechanic, of course. I know that in the recent AMA, you guys say that it's getting really close, and you, Frisky, and everybody's really working hard on that. What can you tell us about it?
We're talking about divine essence, right?
Yes, definitely, Transcendency, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, we're getting really close. We're just testing everything, making sure we have everything in there. There were a few adjustments made to improve like the information transfer from the chain to our front end.
Okay.
But mostly it's just we're just kind of testing things, making sure everything feels right. We did make a last minute adjustment as well to the pet rewards to kind of increase on the low end a bit. The formulas were only just recently shared by me in Discord on Inner General Channel, so it's
Mhm.
a little bit obscure. If you haven't seen it, you can probably find it pinned in our general channel on Discord, but those have been released now, and there's also we have a calculator sheet as well
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
shared
remember.
publicly. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can see now how much your pets are worth. Just a reminder that to get any divine essence with your pet, it has to be equipped to the hero that you burn. So
And the
you
pet is
can't do
gonna get
pets
burned as well,
individually.
I'm believing.
It does, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't, I didn't remember this detail. I didn't know that the pet gets burned as well. I mean, I didn't
Yeah,
remember
it
that we can
does.
burn pets. That's actually crazy cool. There's probably millions of common pets that nobody uses. So, well, wow, that's pretty cool. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just if you have some spare pets that you're not using, I think even just like a common pet that maybe you don't want, or even maybe there's a cheap one that you can buy, it might be worth it to just pick it up and attach it to the hero before you burn it,
Yes,
just to
and
get
burn
that
it.
extra bit. So hopefully that'll, I'm looking forward to seeing how that impacts things. If we see a lot of hero burn and a lot of pet burn, we have already previously reduced like the chances of eggs appearing,
Yeah.
like new eggs. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that kind of impacts the economy over time. So yeah, I guess we'll
So
see
I'm
on
gonna
that one.
skip one of the you cannot see it, but I literally have 2 3 pages of question written here. This was the first one. I'm gonna jump the second,
Okay.
because what you just said is gonna link a lot to the third one. What's the forecasted amount of heroes that are gonna get banned, and is there a target amount that you guys would like to reach?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's going to depend on the players, and so like I don't know that we've really like we have a fixed target. I think we're going to do as much as we can to encourage, especially in the beginning, people to to engage with the new feature, and I'd like to see it that it's really impact kind of the floor, and also just because of the multiplier effect that we have, and there's kind of a treasure hunt there to burn heroes that haven't been burned yet, different types. I'm hopeful that that will kind of spur the community to do quite a bit of burning. But yeah, we haven't really like said okay specifically this number. I'm hoping. Bolin always says never underestimate the degen, and I'm hoping that that's going to be very true here.
Well, I
So
think you
yeah.
saw that in Mosh lately. How many Potion Beaver, just them, how many mythic heroes did they burn?
Right. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't have a specific number, but I think we're gonna we have plans to definitely encourage it. So you can look forward to that.
And will we get a patch note simultaneously to it?
Patch notes on when it's released, as far as
Connected to the combat system, I mean.
So yeah, I guess if you're asking if we're gonna have balance changes going along with the Divine Essence release, is that what you
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
We might not. We've been pretty focused on getting this one out. Haven't been too focused on new balance changes yet. So I think probably not. Still kind of waiting for the dust to settle a bit with Wizard. We did have some bugs that have been addressed since then. And I'm not sure like people have noticed, or maybe we just have a balance issue between our passives, but there was kind of an issue where like burn and chill were not behaving exactly right. But like around barriers, it was causing them to like even if you broke a barrier, it wouldn't apply the status effects.
Yeah. I
So,
think that has been posted already in the patch notes, I believe. I remember reading
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, so I think when Wizard came out, that was there, and I think it kind of made the other two passives that are like chill and burn focused, not as effective as they should have been.
Clearly.
And since then, I feel like people haven't been using those at all. So I wonder, like I wanted to give that more time to see what people come up with Wizard and the new meta and whatnot before we really started doing big changes. But there's probably a couple things that we could adjust earlier rather than later. But yeah, I mean, we
A
have.
couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the numbers of certain skills for the archer as well that feel a bit off from the player side.
Yeah, I know there's, I think the channeling side has been pretty popular in terms of, I guess, pretty successful, I should say, in terms of like people that use archers. I know Whirlwind has been pretty successful as well when paired with daggers. So yeah, I'm aware of the ongoing issues. There's always a new thing, right? As soon as we balance something, so that one thing that was everyone was upset about is now fixed, and there's a new thing. So it's kind of endless, but but yes, I'm aware, and we've kind of been talking about things we can do in the meantime without balance changing, to at least kind of somewhat address this. And I think we have some plans there that you'll hear
I
about.
can see that there's a lot of tournaments with restrictions that I'm really enjoying. May, I mean, seeing no triple class allowed or not this item I mean that's really impactful on this type of issue. I believe personally.
Yeah. And you'll probably see a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
We're always we're always trying to just make it better. But it does also, like when it comes to balance changes and whatnot, that does take a lot of our team focus. And with testing right now, we have both Divine Essence and also pet combat bonuses are in testing now as well. So if we added also balance changes, it's going to slow everything down. So
Yeah, no, I get
just
it. I don't want you guys to be overwhelmed by the amount of things. I mean, of course, the community is gonna always ask for stuff. I get it, especially when there's a balance. When it revolves around the balance change and stuff like that, there will always be people complaining, "Oh, this is too OP. This is not working." Like personally, but this is something I want to ask you about later. But I've always been really sad about how the luck-based the skill tree of the archer has been modified like a year ago at this time. Because I felt like I invested a lot of time, a lot of heroes, a lot of stones in building archers working on that skill tree because I used to like it. And now it's definitely not as effective as any of the other two skill tree. And of course, that's
Sorry, which
something
skill
that
tree did you say?
the luck
I missed
based
skill
ones,
tree.
so once more stone, but I mean those
Oh,
skills
that one.
based on
Okay.
luck, yeah.
Yeah.
If you combine that with change in the luck system, in the scaling of luck on the critical hits, of course, that has been super impactful for that type of that game style, you know. And in the
Right.
beginning, I was feeling really pissed off about it. I'm not gonna lie, because I felt like my archers who were really competitive in the beginning suddenly were not competitive at all. So I get that balance changes will never make everybody happy. That's not a thing in any game.
Yeah, I mean, Archer's pretty has been pretty tough. Obviously, because with us starting the combat engine with only three class types, we had to have a damage dealer, and we didn't really have anything to base it off of besides just designing enemies to fight against. And I think we did end up kind of over tuning everything, and since then, as we've been releasing more things, it just it just more and more clear like that we really needed to start Archer much further down. And unfortunately, just we've had to dial it back and dial it back and dial it back. I know people don't like being nerfed, but yeah, at the
You
same
you
time,
you you've listened to the song "Hubert Nerf Me Slowly," right?
right? Yeah, yeah, I like that song.
Okay, okay,
It's
okay.
usually not what I do. I'm usually just like, okay, turn this down and this and okay this and, but yeah, usually we try to be a little bit more like look at everything as a whole and is there a way we can adjust like the whole flavor. And yeah, with the luck archer, I think in general, just with critical hits, like that's kind of one of the things that we have to be really careful of, and we've learned over time is if you have too much of a critical hit meta, it can get kind of out of hand,
Yeah, yeah,
which
no,
we
I
still
get it, I
kind of
get it,
see.
I get it, I get it.
So
Honestly, I'm seeing, I tried to test it recently again, trying to mix up a bit things. Flurry, it's it's a skill that is really a double-edged sword for me, because with that extra critical strike chance that it can add, if I use multi-shot, rapid shot, I can get to 60% critical hits actually, which is really crazy good. But the 10% extra damage received is really debilitating. But
right.
again, it works if I go with multi and rapid shot. If I go with one small stone barrage, it doesn't really affect me that much. So yeah,
Mm.
I've been forced to change a lot. My archer is not done, to make an example, my PvP archer is not done for the channeling skills, but I'm forced to use those.
Mm.
Actually, I won't use the archer at all next time, gotta be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see more changes with Archer over time. I think we do need to. I don't know. It's really tough. Like I think one of the hardest issues with balance right now is having too many like first turn actions that are really strong.
Yes.
Um, and I think like we see with the triple warrior, the triple archer, like three sharpshooters all at once or three whirlwinds all at once. Like that is very hard to deal with. But it's also kind of hard to balance it. Like we don't really have a mechanic right now to just like first turn amnesia or something where you're not allowed to use this for a certain amount of time. Our arcane power kind of addressed that with wizard, where the whole class just you have to build up before you can do these big blasts. but I don't know that we want to make every class like wizard in that way either. So it's
No, I get
tough.
it, I get it, I get it.
It's a tough one.
With Berserker and with Wizard, this works perfectly because it's a late game kind of build, mid-late game. I get it, it's perfect. The issue, of course, is facing an early game type of class that can one-shot you. That's clearly the
Right.
class that becomes frustrating probably for people. I can understand that if you go there with all of your strategy and then somebody does piercing shot turn one and stuns your healer and in the meanwhile kills your wizard in one turn and you cannot even heal it. Of course,
Right.
you end up saying, fuck this shit. Yeah, that's clearly.
Right.
Listen, about to not move too much the subject, about Divine Essence, will the equipment drop rates change with durability?
I'm sorry. Which drop rates?
The equipment. So, well, the drop rate,
With durability.
yeah.
Yeah, so durability won't be directly connected with Divine Essence. That's going to come a little later.
Okay.
We're still working on that one, but it is getting close to being ready to be tested. So it shouldn't be too far out, but too far out is a very relative term for us. But it's in the like near term pipeline anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, so when durability comes out, I think we will probably need to look at adjusting some things. I also, it's kind of like your equipment does have, all your rare equipment has like 30 durability on it. The mythics have like 50 durability, plus they have 5 repairs each. So, you have like 250 durability there, or 150 durability on the other ones. So that's still like a lot of uses before it is like unusable as well. So it's a little bit difficult to gauge how much we need to change things without seeing how people use it. So I think we will, start focusing on adjustments there, but I'm not sure that it's going to be immediately with release of durability at this point. It could be, but
Sorry, that's something that's not clear to me. So when you have a certain amount of repairs that you can do, does it mean that once you finish those, you have to throw away the item?
unless you restore, which
Okay, so you
restoration
can still
uses the
restore it.
greater
Okay,
divine
okay, okay,
essence.
okay, 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 okay. Perfect. No, that was
Yeah.
not clear, but because I thought that the repair was the one done with the divine essence, but no.
Oh
No,
no.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So
okay. That was my confusion. Okay.
repair is just gold based, and then restore will restore both all of your durability and all of
Okay,
your
okay.
repairs as well.
Okay, so there's not the plan to make the items. I don't want to say one use only, but that sooner or later you have to throw away. No, you can still keep restoring them.
Right. Yeah. If you want to, I mean, the restoration cost increases every time by like 4 greater divine essence. So that can make some like pretty expensive when you get to that point. It's like, all right, I can either restore it or turn it into dust. What do I do? Like at some point, I think you will decide that it's not worth it anymore. Which I'm really excited to see that happen with the daggers that we released that had the really high multiplier increase
Yes,
on critical hits.
yeah. I remember, I remember.
Because those
Or
ones
I
only
believe
have
you hope the same for the gore box at this point. The first
yeah.
one. Yeah.
I think the Gorbos will stick around a bit longer, but the like those daggers only have 10 durability on them and 5
Yeah,
repairs, so
okay. Fair enough.
that's a lot faster. I think those are going to start like getting to that point, but and again we'll kind of see. Like it's going to be I'm interested to see how people will react to it. It is like a whole new thing. Things that were permanent are now becoming somewhat less permanent, but have an upkeep cost tied to them. So it does change the whole game a lot. I've seen people talk about switching to cheaper weapons to use when they're doing hunts or whatever, and if they want to do that, I think they can. I think the challenge will be on us, like with PvE content, just turn up the difficulty. Like with hunts, if we release a new hunt, make sure it's something where it's like really hard if you don't have really like previous hunt equipment or other like competitive equipment. And just kind of stick to it that way, But I do think, as far as like for the game ecosystem, Like it's one of those things that's really necessary. Otherwise we have to just stop minting equipment at some point and say,
Yeah.
that's all the gore axes you're gonna see ever, and you guys can squabble amongst each other who can have them, but I don't think that works as well as just being
Yeah.
able to have equipment kind of have a churn like that. So.
That's a question from the chat. DFK Elite is asking, will an equipment give more dust scrap if they have remaining repairs?
Actually, it's the opposite of that. You get more
Okay.
dust if it's less repair, or it has fewer repairs. Like you get the most if it's all the way completely damaged to nothing left. Basically, that's the best. And the worst is if it's like a brand new, fresh piece of equipment. And the rationale behind that is it's more like you're kind of putting in hero energy into the weapon kind of thing. I don't know, it's kind of if that makes sense. Or I think I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14, so a lot of my thoughts kind of just like similar to this system. So anyone that's like familiar with like equipment's what's the term? Spirit bond. Like you can kind of bond with your equipment, and once you get it to like max, you get a materia out of it. It's kind of a similar concept here, where you're kind of like by using up the equipment, it's gaining its own experience in its own way, and that gives you like more potent dust out of it when you turn it into dust.
Yes, and the dust is meant to be used to craft.
Yeah, so dust. We will be releasing also some enchantments with this. There will be not enchanting with heroes yet, but enchanting through NPCs. And those to enchant equipment, you're going to need to use dust for that.
Okay, fair enough. I get it. The only way to get the dust, I mean, the dust, I'm understanding that is a necessary item to craft and enchant, but is the only one that we will have.
Sorry?
Is the only type of item that we will have to necessary to enchant or to craft, or there will be several types of things.
Yeah, we're gonna have multiples. So there will be like a rare version, kind of like how we have Divine Essence and Greater Divine Essence. We're gonna have something similar
And
there.
I'm guessing at this point from this answer that it's not gonna be only related to equipment already existing getting dusted and then turned into enchantments, but there will be several ways to get the material necessary to the enchantments and crafting.
So for enchantments in particular, yeah, you will need to have the equipment dust. So like it just won't be possible without it. But you will also need gold. And we may in for future enchantments require additional things. But at least for now, it's just yeah. So if people want to enchant their weapons, enchant their armor and accessories and everything, they'll have to, some equipment's going to have to be destroyed before any of that will start showing up.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
So, yep.
Let's move to things more related to the combat system. The first question that I have to ask you, and it's something that is actually bugging me since months, and we had a little quick chat in general chat about this, but I never got a proper explanation, which I'm gonna take advantage of this moment to get. Why sudden death is not tick based? And I want to specify something about this. I don't mean that it starts after, I don't know, 200 ticks from the beginning of the game. I mean, it starts after those 12 minutes set time from the beginning of the game, but then it becomes a tick-based event.
Why is it not that way? Is what you're asking?
Yes, yeah, because you told me that it's related to the timing of each match. I get that. But why can't it be tick-based? So we know when it's coming, we know how it's working, it's on the timeline.
Well, I guess the first thing is like ticks are not necessarily time, right? Because you could have somebody wait 30 seconds before they do an action. If they say it's like every 10 ticks, for example.
Yes.
Like we could have potentially 5 or even 6 heroes go within that 10 ticks. Maybe they even do things where they pass turns, so they go like 9 times, and each of those could take 30 seconds. And the main thing that the main reason why we have that is because we need the tournament, like we need the matches to be over before the next round starts. Like that's the number one, like it must happen. Otherwise, like things start to break with how we have our like matchmaking, or not matchmaking, like the like rounds can't start, like the next battle can't start until the previous battles are all complete. We have kind of a timing system that ensures everything runs on time. All of that kind of gets out of whack if we let time get up there. So like if we do something tick based, there's no way that we can really guarantee it's going to be enough in time before the fight is done. So that's why yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Honestly, I get it. I would love to see it done in a way that we can understand clearly when it's gonna happen, how it's gonna, because right now it's still really confusing, gotta be honest with you. Sometimes I think it was a bug probably in these specific cases, but I had an experience where it started and then for like 3 minutes we didn't get any more sudden death. The match concluded without any further sudden death. Then I had an experience really recently with Hope where we were playing in a tournament. We get to sudden death, and then I got 3 sudden deaths in a row without being able, neither of us, of completing basically not even one turn. And it's been like, what the fuck is going on here? These were like 20 seconds. We got 3 sudden deaths. And so sometimes it gets really confusing from the player point of view because we don't understand when and how it's happening.
Yeah, on that, when the case you said, was that like right at the start of the fight, or was it like when sudden death started, it started
No,
to
no,
be
one
like every
sudden death
20
start.
seconds?
No, no, both cases where one sudden death starts.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably do something to improve the way that's like shown. Like we do have the timer to say when it's going to begin, but we don't have a timer that says when the next wave is coming, which was something that I did want to get added. Just it was kind of complicated with the way I was requesting it, and then it kind of got put on the back burner for other
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So I can bring that up again. I agree. I know some people don't like the tomatoes. I think it does kind of create a specific gameplay style. Like people are just trying to get to the tomato time and then try to pull out a win by being sneaky in that window, which wasn't really the intent, but kind of the result of that design choice. So we could potentially look at doing something different in the future. I think that it works okay now. It does at least get the job done of ensuring that tournaments end in time. But maybe there's some other variations on it that we could do that make it a little more enjoyable for players.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But
Honestly,
yeah,
I
for now,
love them. I find them
you do.
super cool. Yeah, no, I love them. Just even just the idea of the tomato is crazy cool. I love it. Is there a plan to sort out the bug that messes up the shot clock?
Yes. That one being, I assume you mean like where the animation time counts against you. Is that
Basically,
what?
yes, because seems like that the turn, when the turn starts, I'm already at 10 seconds from the end of my turn, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
The turn just started. And yeah, I understand it. It's basically the issue here is clear, is that the shot clock is starts counting when the animation starts instead of each turn. The animation like don't count as a turn. That's what I'm understanding is the problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's a kind of a state machine system that just it does everything up until it needs its next input, and then it waits from there. So any timers like wait from that moment. The fix to that problem is to have it also like for any action that it takes in between, like where it's waiting for an input to the next waiting for input, like everything that it plays out is being accounted for in time. So like if it says a channeling ability, like say sharpshooter goes off, say okay, channeling sharpshooter happens, that adds 5 seconds to the clock, and it'll do that for
Okay.
every single thing.
Okay, so the
And
solution is not to count those as a turn, is to make them give a bonus on the shot clock.
Yeah, right, exactly. And we actually have that into a testing, it's just about into testing at this point. I just checked with Beetlejuice about that earlier. Because, yeah, I understand the pain point there. I agree with it, and I think we need to fix it. We were too focused on too many things with Wizard to like really prioritize that, but I did make sure to make it a priority before we got onto the next class. So this fix is actively delaying the next class from coming out, but it's Beetle's getting pretty close to just
But we
focusing
need
on the
to,
next
yeah,
class.
honestly, we need to address. Sometimes I've seen matches with people 60 atrophies and they didn't miss a turn, just that the animation
Yeah,
messed them up. Yeah.
right. I think I saw one maybe that you were in actually where it seemed like it was even like the clock. I don't know. Something seemed weird there. So yeah, anytime that it seems like definitely like something very weird's happening, like always report those and we can take a look.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we want to
I
make sure
tend to
any bugs
send them
are
to
addressed.
Sachet. Probably Sachet's got a collection of my games
Yeah.
with what the fuck is going on here? Uh,
Right.
Funny question. Does the sear skill, the one that doubles up a barrier, work on a wall?
No.
Oh,
Walls are a different thing, even though they are also very similar to barriers.
okay,
They're
so they're
not
not
treated.
considered barrier in game term. Okay. I just wanted to double
Yeah.
check this because there's a lot of chit chat around the mirror wall. Personally, I love it. When I was talking with Workhorse a couple of weeks ago here on KarmaKast, he said that he would like to see it getting a bit more love because the idea that you don't attack it and it's gonna do nothing, just a dispel and then negate is not really cool because it's a really expensive skill and stuff. But there's a lot of people complaining about the fact that it blocks environmental and it blocks and reflects environmental damage. And I was like, man,
Right.
that's the coolest thing ever, in my opinion. You play that wall just to save yourself from a sudden death, and then the sudden death gets reflected. I mean, for me, that's super cool, but people think it's a bug. What is it?
Yeah, I've seen that. I think we're going to treat that as a bug, unfortunately. Like I kind of like it as well, but it also is something that only exists within the tournament system. Like it doesn't exist in PvE anywhere or in private matches. So I think what we're planning to do is to just make it be treated in the same way that wards are treated. So it'll just be ignored completely for damage purposes.
Nah.
Um, which I know that's a little bit early alpha, I guess there, but it is something that we're looking at probably doing that. Because yeah, I mean, if sudden death worked in a different way, for example, like say sudden death just was like a damage multiplier for everybody, and like everything just starts dealing more damage. Like if we worked it that way, then I think wall would still be very beneficial as a blocker. Whether or not like that dispel and negate is worth it, I think is I'm a little bit surprised. I feel like the dispel is actually quite powerful sometimes, especially when you're fighting against like a strong barrier team. I think I watched somebody in a tournament with use a wall and have it do that, and like all of the barriers were all gone after that point on the opponent's team, and that's
Yeah,
potentially a ton of damage.
yeah, I get that.
So,
I get that.
and also I don't know if you
Somebody
guys know
in the chat is
one
saying
one last
if
one
the
last
wall
note.
is
Sorry.
destroyed by sudden death, but then doesn't reflect the damage, it won't block the enemy attacks. So it feels like a double-edged sword. Yeah, I get it.
So
It's gonna be controversial, this thing.
yeah, and I guess one other note I'll say, like I don't know if people have noticed, but the Call of the Colosseum effect that you get from the Crown of Submersia, like that is dispellable. I don't know if anyone's ever tried it, but Wall of Reflection could just wipe that completely off the table
Oh, what did you
if
just
used
say?
appropriately.
What did you just say?
It is. I don't know. I feel like Dispel is kind of being slept on. Maybe we just haven't put enough Dispel in the game for it to
Yeah,
really be
that
used very much.
I
But,
agree. I always think why does the priest doesn't?
mhm.
That triggers me a bit on. Seems like that the only class that can actually spell at the moment is the seer.
You're kind of cutting out there.
I was saying that the only class that feels like can be spelled constantly is the seer because the wizard can do it only with the wall.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like farther away from your mic. It's kind of hard to hear you, but I think I caught it. But yeah, I mean, right now the seer and now the wizard with the wall. But using the wall to do the spells is a tricky thing. I think you can still pull it off. If you can find like a good window of time between turns where they're not going to have very many actions. Like you could do it specifically for the dispel and just use like no AP, for example, and just go for a 0 AP dispel bomb, things like that. And that's another thing I haven't seen people try to do, but it is something you can do. I don't think that the spell it doesn't have an unlock or anything else tied to it. So,
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
but yeah, anyway.
Is there any plan to change the scaling of speed agility?
Yeah, sorry, your mic is still. I'm still struggling to. It's still pretty muffled.
I'm doing to level the mic. Recovering, I'm just raising the volume. I was saying, is there any plan to change in any way the scaling of speed and agility?
I mean, we could do it more. I think. That last adjustment we made. I think that was helpful. But if it still is feeling like it's too strong or whatever, I think we can adjust it further. I don't think it's still. I don't think we adjusted it to too weak anyway. I think it's still pretty effective to have higher agility, but yeah, I could see us adjusting it further if it seemed necessary.
Uh,
I don't know if you've been talking, but now your mic might be completely dead.
can you still hear me?
Oh, that sounds much better.
Okay, okay. No, 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 no. The headphones are doing stupid, silly things. But now we're back. Okay. So what I wanted to ask you now, tournament related question. Don't hate me for this. Is there any idea about reducing the amount of participants for the weekly tournaments so that they can start maybe reducing the cash reward, making more tournaments in a day with several level differences so that everybody can compete the same day with different level teams, but in order to make them start?
Mm, I mean, yeah, we have talked about reducing it. I think one of the bigger challenges is we kind of had like a target number of treasure chests we wanted to release with a target number of equipment. If we were to drop it down to 8 and increase the count, we'd need to make a new treasure chest essentially, and then potentially have it where you don't get rewarded a weapon from them.
Mhm.
Which that's not the most appealing idea on our end, and I think whatever the reward was instead of a weapon is not going to be as good, and it's always going to feel bad if you get that.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I do see that we're getting more tournaments getting canceled. It does suck. I hope the consolations have at least kind of helped reduce the pain of like you came prepared to do a tournament and then you just canceled and now you can't
That
do it.
does
Like
it,
at
but
least
still, who comes to play has got to wait 1 extra hour.
right.
And that clearly
Um,
twists them off because there's a lot of people coming to play, setting up their heroes, and then a lot of people, let's say 7 people coming to play, and then the tournament
right.
doesn't start, and they, of course, feel pissed off about it.
Mhm.
Yesterday happened with the mosh pit. Then we played the consolation mosh pit, but still, you're not gonna get the chest if you win. You're not gonna get rewards. I saw it happening with the Weekend Warrior tournament, which is it's a $200 tournament, so it's kind of big. People should be pushed to play, but still, it doesn't start.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's tough, right? Like, we do have right now we have another campaign going with YGG that's just starting. We are including like tournament participation in there. We do also have like the tournament participation reward right now with the visages that we're going to be doing, or we are doing right now. So that was we were hoping that would increase the number of people joining. I think there is a little bit of a sentiment with some people that they can't compete, that they don't have enough equipment, they don't have the right heroes, that there's somebody who has too many like exalted traits on their abilities, where they just various reasons people are saying they don't feel that they can compete. I did see, I think it was Hope that just barely won recently,
Yeah,
and kind of had that same mindset and posted about it, and it's like just needed to dive in, and then they managed to win, right? So like,
yeah. He
I don't
won
think it's
both
impossible.
the Gold Rush and the Weekend Warrior in the same day.
Yeah. So I mean, that was cool to see. I think they were using that same strategy we just talked about of using the wall against the tomatoes, but
Yeah,
so that strategy might not work as much anymore once we adjust that. It's still in right now, but once that's adjusted, but yeah. Anyway, so like I think, so what if we go down that route and then we adjust everything, and then YGG's in, we have more people starting to play tournaments, and they're just filling up too much, and then we have to switch back. Then we would have had gone through an effort of like creating these new chests, and then we undo all of that work kind of
yeah,
thing.
I
So
get it.
I guess there's a concern, and I definitely understand. Like I really don't like seeing so many tournaments being canceled. And it just we just need more people playing it, and I was hoping, like with the patrollers, like it seemed like there were multiple reasons why people weren't joining. Some were saying it's too expensive, and like those expensive ones are always won by the same people. I don't think that's really actually true. I do think the same people do. There are some people that win often, but they don't always win. I've seen those people lose in like the first round against people that aren't like in that same category of like win often. So like it's possible. I think, what was it Mellow Fellow also, just or is that the same as Code Green? I don't remember. But anyway, they ended up fighting like Fex and Ibla and maybe you. I don't remember. Anyway, like it's just like pretty much all of the heavy hitters. I'm pretty sure Okul was in there, and won against all of them, and then won the tournament, right? So like it's I don't think it's impossible to win. I don't know what we can do to really encourage people more to just to try. We've tried adding restrictions on things, to like on different equipment. We tried adding restrictions on how good a hero can be. We could potentially add restrictions like upgrade things so that we can start restricting how many or how good of ability genes can be brought in. Like we don't have that now, but that's something we could add to like just if it's a question about leveling the playing field, I think we can do things like that. But I think in general it's kind of a tough battle of like, I think everyone that's playing tournaments regularly are having a fun time with it. Aside from bugs that are infuriating, I get that there's sometimes like reasons why someone gets upset, but when things are working well, like I see everyone just like really enjoying it. A lot of
Yes,
good
definitely,
sportsmanship with
definitely.
everybody.
Personally, I'm loving it.
So we need more people to just dive in. If we can get more people doing the patroller limited, like that's a low entry fee. Like that's a good way to get going with it. We have also now hosted tournaments available, so if somebody wants to create a free tournament, like they have the option to do that, just to like encourage more people to play during different times of the day. I think that going down to 8 players is something that's kind of like a last resort. Like we could still
Yes,
do it.
yes. I get it. I
I
get
don't
it.
want that to be what we do right away. So sorry, that's a pretty long answer.
No, 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 no,
And
no. Actually, you clarified it a lot. I get it. Listen, curiosity. How does power work? Does it benefit from the rules of a weapon?
yeah, so power uses whichever is higher for that hero, whether it's their attack or their spell.
Okay,
And if it uses spell, it makes whatever the if like the attack it makes it a magic attack instead of it being a physical attack. But
okay.
if it uses attack, then it's a physical attack.
Yes, but if I have a dagger with a humongous amount of critical scaling bonuses, will that affect my explosion?
I think it would. I think so. I believe so. I don't know that there's any reason why it wouldn't.
Okay,
So
okay. That was curious because I was talking with somebody in general chat later, and I was like, "What the fuck? Why should the critical bonus on your dagger have an effect on your explosion?" But apparently it does.
yeah, I mean, right
That's crazy.
now, basically any weapon that has like an on-hit effect, like that will apply to anything that you do while you're using that weapon. So,
Mm.
like if you have a coral sword that has both poison and wound on it, um, like your explosion could be doing poison and wound as well
Yes.
as like
Okay.
the crazy
I
stuff.
get it.
So, yeah.
Uh, okay. This one is a question I already know that I'm not gonna get an answer. But what can you say about the hunt reward system that still didn't come? May it be linked somehow with Crystal Veil lens.
With Crystal Veil, what?
Lens.
Oh, lands. It's not going to be linked to lands. No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I guess I can say that much. It's just something that unfortunately, just in the flow of everything that happened, has just always been kind of put back in order of priority. And that might change here in the future. Now that we've kind of gotten past our PvP contract.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, as far as like when it will be out or what it is specifically, I still don't really want to share too much about that. Other than it has been more on my mind lately. Now that we're past the PvP stuff, and it is something that I want to, whenever. mm, Well, I want it to be a somewhat near-ish priority, I guess I can say.
Okay. Okay. No, I get it. I get
But
it. I don't want you to say anything that you shouldn't say. So there's
yeah.
not gonna be lens on Crystal Veil.
Uh, well, I wouldn't say there won't be lands on Crystal Valley. I just would say that lands won't be tied to the
Okay.
the
Okay.
hunt
Okay. Okay.
feature.
Well, I definitely
Uh,
tried my luck with this. Uh,
yeah, I mean, we
yeah, of
still
course.
generally have the same plan of having a travel system and having map
Yes.
expansions and having lands and all that stuff, and that also applies to Crystal Vale. It's just that has not been our priority
No,
since
I
we've been
get it.
doing
I get it.
PvP and
Now
whatnot.
you
So
have
yeah,
the patrols that can become easily a dungeon system. So, well, it's
right.
super cool. I mean, that's at least what Workhorse was trying to make me notice. I believe it can work pretty well for PvE gaming, even for group gaming at that point.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, we still have a lot of things planned. It's just, it's unfortunately we only have as much bandwidth as we do. So we're just
Yeah.
trying to figure out what's the best next thing to do, and try to execute it as best as we can. And we say that it's more like we're planning on 4 or 5 different things at once, and we have those all working and on at their own pace at wherever they are in development. Art usually comes first, so we have our art team working pretty far ahead right now. They're working on the class after the next class, for example. They're also working on some PVE things.
Yes.
But so like we have a lot of different things in the pipeline. It just they're in different states. But Yeah. Anyway, also just noting that I do need to hop off here pretty soon.
Yeah, I know, I know, I know. I don't want to hold you any longer. Don't worry. I know that you had another meeting to scheduled after. It's been actually great having you here. I hope that we can organize this type of things more often because we want to know, honestly. We want to
Right.
ask, we want to know. Lot of curiosity. Actually, you dropped a couple of alphas here. People in the chat is saying them so many alphas today all at once. That's actually great. I can't wait to see what's gonna come next. We I imagine we don't have a timing for the Divine Essence mechanic because I heard you guys saying 2 3 weeks, but I imagine it's still far away actually.
I mean, yeah, I think the 2 3 weeks was kind of a pretty good target of what we were planning on, and it's really just kind of depending on if we find anything else in testing that needs to be, any
Yeah,
problems
finished.
so it's getting pretty close. Like things are feeling pretty good at this point. So, I'd say if you have a hero you really care about and it just got a really bad level up, you might want to wait. It's up to you, of course, because
Before
it
burning him.
will.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like as soon as you get any experience on that, you won't be able to re-roll its level up. But so like it's a decision to make, but it might be worth waiting for like a hero you really care about at this point if you get
Oh,
a really bad level
so
up.
if it gets experience, I cannot reroll the last level up.
Yeah, once you've gotten experience, it's basically locked in its level up at that point. So
Oh, okay. Well, I cannot reroll any last level up because during tournaments my heroes got experience, of course.
right, yeah. So
But
that's
I can
a
still
thing.
reroll it from scratch.
Yeah, you could reset it all the way and then do all the
Okay.
rerolls there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would work.
Yeah, that's my Archer's destiny.
And then we'll go and make luck better again for it, and then you'll be sad. But
No, yeah,
we'll
no,
see.
that's literally why I asked you if you were gonna get the patch notes with the Divine Essence. That's literally why
uh,
I asked you that.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're going to change specifically with Archer next, but it is always a goal to make each of the trees usable.
Yeah.
In PvP, some things just might not make sense for you to use ever for PvP, but we still are trying to like make more of the skills more like desirable, so it's a harder choice, or that you can have these other strategies that will still potentially win for you.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, if like that piercing tree is not doing too hot right now, we can take another look at it and another stab, see what would
What's
make
gonna
it
happen?
go
Yeah.
better. And maybe it just is a nerf of the channeling tree, and then everything kind of rebalances because of
Yeah,
that. So
yeah, most likely
who knows?
that's
So
gonna be the solution, most likely, I agree. Well, Hubert,
right.
thank
So
you for joining me. I'm not gonna hold you here. I know that you got to go.
okay. Well, thanks, anyone Karmas. I really appreciate you having me here, and appreciate all your support in the community, and all the tournaments you're playing in, and just everyone listening here as well. We really appreciate everyone who's actively engaging in our game. Thanks for all your suggestions and for playing, and we're just gonna keep on building over here. So thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna hear from you on the next AMA, most likely.
Yep. All
Yeah.
right.
Thank you. Have a
Okay.
great evening.
All right. Thanks, guys.
With this squad, united by a bond, there's no corner of the kingdom where we won't reach your soul. No opponent safe. Look, with this squad, better run and go hide in a cave. Ultra's got the best pets, over roads every land. People will hunt you down with this nifty dreads. You know winning is a thing, we're still in the king. Every rap we win, step with us in the ring. squad. Every hero's on quest. Step aside, oh my friend. You will have to repent. I'm with Moss in the pit, selling ghouls like PNC. Blind tossed on bus keys, we're the kings of the seven seas. With this squad, we will fly high with the wings of a dragonfly. Instant return gets us powers, meet us up in the office hours. 100 blocks with us, mate. Making swords in my hands, knocking 1K. Thoughts guide us through the stages while we summon mythic sages. Dark nights, spellbound, crazy. Mythic squad will remain for the ages. Mythic squad.